Good morning, everyone. It's still good morning, ladies and gents. Warm welcome, and we are super excited to be here at this summit, the Great Indian Developer Summit in Bangalore. Our entire team from APAC is also here, so we would love to have a great interaction with the developer community, and that's the reason we are all here to the next 3 or 4 days to interact with you, get to know. So, just to let you know, because if you see the printed brochure, Sarim Aziz was to chair this session. Unfortunately, Sarim is unable to come from Singapore, so he sends his apologies. So I am Pradeep, a quick introduction, which you've heard. I'm based in Bangalore, and I have Alan with me, who's from Hong Kong in the developer relations. So what we intend to do today, in the next, keeping in mind the time constraints, just 15 minutes, we want to talk about how do we create killer apps using web technologies and on Blackberry platform. So Alan will talk about the how aspect, but I want to take just few minutes to talk about why on Blackberry platform. So that's something, just few slides with some very interesting data points I would like to show. So let's have a quick thing. The moment the name Blackberry is mentioned, what does it strike you? What's the first thought which comes to you? I guess this pretty much describes that, right? It's only for corporate, and hey, within corporate it just does email. So that's the perception. So what I want to do is, in a couple of minutes, show you some very interesting data points which talks about, is it only for corporates, or what's happening in the marketplace for BlackBerry. So this is what we, generally hear in the marketplace. Oh, well, BlackBerry is just for business. It's only for corporate users. So some of the data points what we have picked is from APAC region. So this speaks for yourself. Have a look. So in Thailand, 6 in 10 BlackBerry users, they use it for personal usage. So that I hope that sinks in, that today the lines are blurring, right? It's business, prosumer concept, consumers, so they're all blurring. So when you develop for BlackBerry, it's for both the business and the consumer. And then, needless to say, the social apps are what is triggering in the consumer. So you have the BlackBerry Messenger. I'm sure everyone must be, those who are on BlackBerry know about BlackBerry Messenger and another social media. Myth 2, I think is important. BlackBerry developers can't make money. Well, if you can't make money, then it's very difficult, right? And then why do you develop applications? So these are some of the data points which we thought we'll share with you. It's done by Evans Data Corporation. So it's saying that the second most profitable app store in the marketplace today. So that means the users of BlackBerry are willing to pay for the apps what they want. And 13% of BlackBerry developers have made more than 100,000 USD from the app world. So these are some of the, the myths and the fiction and the reality behind that. The next point, oh well, the BlackBerry market is shrinking. There have been so many, BlackBerry has been in news for the last 1 year for some reason or other. So there are a lot of, discussions happening. Oh, well, what's going to happen? Should we develop? Is the market there or not? So in this last 1 year, what has happened is our active subscriber base has gone up by 20 million. So that's something for you to know. We are here for the long term, and the subscriber base in this growth market is also increasing in our count. BlackBerry users don't use applications, right? Maybe it's just for emails. But then these are the other data points where from the BlackBerry app world, there are about 177 million downloads per month happening. So I'll just summarize because of the time constraint. Look at these data points again on the BlackBerry app world, which is the distribution channel for you for your applications. 77 million active subscribers, 70,000 applications, relevant apps on the app world, daily downloads. But what's important is 735 Bbm connected apps. So when I say Bbm connected, it has a social context to it. So that's downloaded 183 million times. So when you do any applications on BlackBerry, keep in mind the BlackBerry Messenger. You need to integrate your application to Bbm, and that's how you see the downloads increasing. And obviously, needless to say, being the app world, it has a global reach across these many countries, carriers. And last is there is no registration charge for uploading your app on the app world. So with that, I would now pass it on to Alan, who will now cover how do you go about developing those killer apps on the BlackBerry platform using web technologies. Thank you.
One develop for BlackBerry apps, mostly from a business perspective, and the other factor that all of us are mostly considering is also the amount of effort required in order to develop a mobile app for a BlackBerry platform. Right? If it takes too long, then it might not it might not be worth it. That's probably what you're thinking as well. So right here, what I want to do right now is give you a quick overview of the web platform, what's available on BlackBerry that you can leverage to get yourself in the mobile space, to build mobile HTML5 applications for the BlackBerry smartphones and for the BlackBerry tablet devices as well. And the BlackBerry platform is driven by strong web standards. So a couple of years back, we acquired a company by the name of Torch Mobile, where they're focusing all of our efforts into making the BlackBerry browser world-class and being able to support as many of the web standards that you see today, such as HTML5 and CSS3. The web browsers and your web applications that are running on the BlackBerry devices will be powered by WebKit as well. And as you may or may not know, the BlackBerry Playbook also supports Flash. It has a Adobe Flash runtime built into the OS itself. So you can leverage Flash content if you'd like as well within your web applications. So here's some interesting statistics from Html5 Test. So it's a pretty standard test to test the compliancy and the compatibility of modern web browsers today, and how they do and how much they support HTML5. And these are actually old stats. We just released a new OS release for our BlackBerry tablet OS 2.0.1, and we actually just bumped up some of these scores on the HTML5 test. So on the mobile side, we're still the leading platform in terms of compatibility with HTML5. And on the BlackBerry smartphone side, we're still improving to reach that same goal. And what can you do with HTML5 today? So I'm sure a lot of you guys are already familiar with that. If you're a typical HTML5 web developer, you've got access to geolocation, offline mode like application cache, meta cache, widget cache. There's also storage, for local storage, remote storage, audio, video for HTML5 applications, 2D graphics, web workers, and things like that. So all of these are all supported on the BlackBerry Playbook and on the BlackBerry 7 devices as well. And WebWorks is something that we've come up with, which is sort of a framework that exposes native APIs into JavaScript APIs for web developers to call so that they have access to all of the native hardware that's available on these BlackBerry devices. So things like the camera, the native video players, the file system, and even more advanced hardware such as the accelerometer, the NFC capabilities of these BlackBerry devices as well. So here are some screenshots of some real-world examples. So as you can see, it really ranges from games, also to WebGL graphics. On the bottom right, you see an application developed using WebGL for navigating around the solar system. And then there's also some content delivery applications as well, which are perfect for HTML5 to be built on. It's simple, and it gets the job done. And a little bit about the WebWorks architecture. So WebWorks, the user interface itself is powered completely by standard web technologies, HTML5, CSS3, transitions, animations, and the application logic itself is powered by JavaScript. Again, through the WebWorks framework, we also expose WebWorks APIs, which you can leverage and gain access to native BlackBerry platform services and also access to some of the device hardware and features as well. So you can integrate with things like BBM, you can integrate with ad services, payment services, NFC, like I mentioned. You have SQLite database storage. You can implement push. You can customize your menus. You can do a whole lot of things that a Java application can do today, but you can write that in standard web technologies. And as just a quick example of how easy it is to leverage some of these WebWorks APIs, here's a little quick code snippet on how you can invoke the application camera. That's the hardware that's on the BlackBerry devices and the BlackBerry playbooks as well. So through a few JavaScript lines of code, you can invoke the camera using the invoke API that's provided by the WebWorks API framework. And you can open up the camera. You can put it in video shooting mode or into photo taking mode as well. And now, one of the questions that comes into your mind is how to get there. What's the effort required to build a completely new HTML5 application or to port existing HTML5 desktop applications onto the mobile platform? So on the left, starting from the left, you'll see that this is where all of your source code is. HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript files, HTML resources, images, and even some of the JavaScript frameworks that you may be using today already, like jQuery, CenterTouch. All of those are compatible with the BlackBerry WebWorks platform, and that you can rebuild and port over onto the BlackBerry playbook. The RIPL in the middle is the mobile emulator that we have, where it provides you with skins of every single BlackBerry device, so you can see how your user interface looks and how the WebWorks APIs interacts within the mobile emulator. And then through the WebWorks SDK, you can package it either into a bar format, which you can then load as a binary on the BlackBerry playbook to run, or a COD file that you can run on the BlackBerry smartphone devices. So one important key takeaway from here is that the WebWorks SDK supports both the BlackBerry playbook device that's based on QNX, as well as the BlackBerry smartphone device that's based on the smartphone OS. So after you've seen all of these notes that I prepared, all the theories, any developer would want to look at the end result to see what they can do and what types of applications they can create with the HTML5 platform. And if I'm able to switch here. If I didn't tell you, you couldn't tell if it's developed using HTML5 or if it's a native application. And the performance itself is really the same. And I can show you right here. So this is the Rogers Cup application that was written in HTML5. And you can already see all these transitions here that you saw in the start. They're all powered by CSS. All of them are hardware accelerated, so you'll get really, really smooth performance. It also supports videos that you can see here playing. And all the interactions here that I do and all the animations are web. They're CSS transitions. So, and you can see that some of these, the performance here is essentially really the same as any native application. So with HTML5 WebWorks platform, you don't have to learn a completely new language. You don't have to learn a Java language, or you don't have to learn C or C++. You can use a language that you're familiar with in an environment you're familiar with as well to develop for the mobile platform, BlackBerry devices or the BlackBerry Playbook tablet. And by the slight chance if you're a web developer and you're a game developer, you can also use WebGL to develop your games in HTML5. So we're actually one of the first platforms, mobile platforms, that support WebGL, and we're probably still the only one today. But this is the Tunnel Tilt demo that's also available on App World. It's open source, so you can find the source code on GitHub as well if you're looking into WebGL development. But essentially, it provides you with, it's a simple game where you're navigating a ball within a tunnel and you're trying to avoid obstacles. And you'll notice it makes use of the accelerometer as well. So the WebWorks platform gives you that exposure and gives you the capability to hook on to the device hardware, such as the accelerometer. So obviously I'm not too good with the game here, and it's sort of hard to play in front of a crowd here. It's a lot of pressure. There you go. I can make it. I can make it around a couple of obstacles. And you can see here, it's really the performance itself. It's no different than a native application. So hopefully that'll give you, some confidence in how your web applications would run on the BlackBerry platform. And can we switch back to the slides? For mobile emulator that provides you with skins for BlackBerry devices, as well as other devices as well from other platforms. It can emulate device-specific APIs. It has the web inspector, something that most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with, that you guys need in order to debug your applications and profile your applications. Ripple Emulator also provides you with the ability to package and sign your applications, so you don't have to worry about any command line setup. All you do is you just put in your paths to your SDKs, and then with a click of a button, you'll get an application file that you can then quickly load onto your device. The Web Inspector, so it supports debugging and profiling tool on both the BlackBerry device and the BlackBerry Playbook. One unique feature is we also support remote Web Inspector, which means that you can have an application running on your device live, and then you can use a desktop browser, you can use your Playbook browser to call up a remote Web Inspector to debug a running live application. So the Web Inspector is supported both on the native browser as well as WebWorks applications. And Pradeep earlier also mentioned the interesting point about Bbm Connected Applications. So currently there are 733 apps in it, and they've generated a total of 183 million downloads. So if you think about it, that's about 250K downloads, 250,000 downloads per Bbm Connected app. So that sort of shows you, how important it is to leverage the Bbm platform so that you can share your application, you can virally distribute it, and you can even do multiplayer gameplay over the Bbm platform as well. If you're interested, you can find out more at a booth about how you can get your application featured. Within the App World client itself, we can place your application in a visible place so that it's just more visible within the market itself. And last but not least, at our booth today, you can participate in our session tweet quizzes. So all of the sessions that we have today, which the two of them that are listed here at 12 and at 4:20, they're web sessions. And we're actually giving away playbooks if you answer some of the questions that we post on Twitter. So for each of these sessions, we'll have 5 questions that are related to the session content. And if you're able to respond with the answer in time, you'll get a BlackBerry playbook. And we're only the first 5 that are able to respond to those questions. And you should follow the Great Indian Dev Twitter handle. That's where we're going to be posting our questions, and you're going to reply through them as well. And last but not least, we also have the App Express set up at our booth. So you can bring in your web source code if you have any desktop web applications that you'd like to try to port over to the BlackBerry platform. We have people there to help you, to guide you through the process. And if you're able to successfully port your application and run it on a BlackBerry device, we'll also give you a playbook as well so that you can bring home and test your application before you submit it to BlackBerry App World. And that's the end of our the session. So hopefully I'll see you guys at the BlackBerry booth. We're going to be there for the rest of the day for the next 3 days as well. So if you have any questions, if you have anything about WebWorks that you'd like to understand about, come into their booth. And also make sure that you join in our sessions if you want to learn more about WebWorks as well. Thank you.